Okay, guys, to our final speaker of the day at the Great Northern Retail Forum in partnership with the Giftware Association is Chris Dawson, founder and editor of Tamebay.com. Now, Chris is going to discuss, should you be selling on marketplaces like Amazon or eBay? Are they your friends or foe? So I'm going to step back and hand you over to Chris. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a cosy little session today by the looks of things, so let's get cracking. So what I want to talk about really is how retail has changed over the last few years, what retail looked like 10, 15 years ago, where we are today, what it is going to look like in the future, and look at marketplaces and really try and answer some questions, and I'm going to ask more questions than I'll answer probably, on whether you as a supplier should be looking at marketplaces or not. Are they on your side? Can they be useful for your business? Or are they the enemy and you should be working against them and doing everything you can to combat their power? I've been walking around Harrogate today, and we actually had lunch in a really nice little place called Betty's, established in the early 1900s. Hooper's, where we're possibly going next as soon as we finished here today, we've just been discussing what to do next, department store, established in 1982. Now, I know people that weren't even born in 1982 that are now grown up and starting to enter the job market. They may be your customers, they may be your retailers' customers. But Hooper's is actually quite a new entrance to the high street, even though it's been around for 20, 30 years. They've got their own website. We're at a home and gift show. They sell home and gifts as well as fashion. And really what I'm saying is the high street has got quite a lot of heritage. And somewhere that I'm going to go tomorrow is the oldest sweet shop in England, established in 1827. So the high street and retail in this country has got a huge heritage going back years and years and years. And yet, we've now got these marketplaces coming along, and eBay was only established in 1997. That's what their website looked like. It wasn't even called eBay, it was called Auction Web. But they've only been around 20 years, so how can they possibly have had such a huge effect on retail in this country? And similarly, Amazon, again established in the late 1900s. I mean, Hooper's 1982, Amazon 1996, 97. They've hardly been around 5 minutes in retail terms, and yet everyone knows that Amazon, they started with books, then they went into other categories on retail, then they brought along all this video stuff, now they're into food. They're having a huge effect on how people shop, and yet they're relatively new. And it all comes down to the internet. 30 years ago, if you're on the net, you would have had a desktop, something horrible old tower thing looking like that. You can still get them, they just look a bit prettier nowadays. They have lights and things on them. But the desktop was actually the first way that most of us would ever have entertained using the internet. And it's only about 30 years old. And about 20 years ago, just as eBay and Amazon were starting up, we got laptops. And laptops were promised as the future. You would be able to take your laptop and leave the office and still work. You could work at home, you could work on the train, you could work in a field in the sunny countryside. There's only one problem. It was a false promise. It never worked. First of all, the battery life was absolutely rubbish. Even today, if you've got a laptop that's a couple of years old, you'd be lucky to get an hour, hour and a half out of the battery life before it dies. So it didn't really do very much. But the bigger problem when laptops came out is as soon as you left the office, you didn't have any internet. You probably didn't even have the internet in your office in those days, but you could at least access the work email or the files on the server, the shared drive. As soon as you left the office, you had no connectivity. So the fact that you were mobile and could go anywhere really made no difference whatsoever. And then a decade ago, we got smartphones coming along. 2007, the first Apple iPhone, and that's what really revolutionized the internet. You could get email on your phone, you could buy things on your phone, and for the first time you really could work anywhere. We started off with 3G, well, we started off with 2G, then 3G, then 4G. We've got Wi-Fi in more and more places, So for the first time, you really could use the internet anywhere you liked. And then just 5 years ago, the first tablets came along. And the Apple iPad came out in just literally 5, 6 years ago. And that gave us a bigger screen that, again, was mobile, that we really could use everywhere. And nowadays, you'll catch people at home watching TV with their tablet that they're browsing the net on, or you'll see them on the train with their tablets or their mobile phones. People are using the internet anywhere. And that's changed the paradigm of the retailer that's been for hundreds of years on our high streets, so now people are buying online. And 2 out of 3 visits to every mobile internet site now, every shopping site, is actually done from a mobile device. So people are getting their smartphones out of their pockets or using their tablets, and they're going onto these shopping sites with mobile. No one's using desktops or tablets anymore for shopping. 60-odd% of the time, it's a mobile device. And that means that we're not tied to our desks when we go shopping online. We're not even tied to our laptops. We can literally shop anywhere. That if we think, actually, today, we want to buy some new sunglasses, we want to buy a new iPad, anything you want to buy almost, you can just buy it online. And the way buyers are shopping has changed enormously. Because we're buying on mobile devices, small screen devices, there's only really a couple of ways into shopping that we go. One of them is on a smartphone, is to use Google. It's built into every Android. If you're on an Apple device, you might be asking Siri, but you're asking your mobile, your basic search on your mobile, where to start shopping. But there's another huge way into shopping on mobiles, and that's through marketplaces. And almost everyone with a smartphone will have downloaded either the eBay or the Amazon app, and they'll be starting their search on those search engines, on the eBay search engine or on the Amazon search engine. And that's a real problem for retail, because if you're not on those search engines that the consumers are using, how are they ever going to find your products? And eBay has got something like 160-odd million buyers around the world. But more importantly, their mobile app has been downloaded over 300 million times. eBay's mobile app is way, way, way out in the front as the most popular mobile app ever, both on the iPhone and on Android. They were one of the first apps. They invested heavily in mobile as soon as smartphones came out. And so many people downloaded their mobile app that that's where they start shopping. And that's the challenge that we've got for our retailers and for the manufacturers and the wholesalers is, if everyone's shopping on these marketplaces, should we be there, or would we rather try and keep our retail to the high street and support our retailers, people like Hoopers that have been around buying our products since the 1980s? What's going to happen if we start selling our products on these marketplaces? Is it going to affect our traditional retailers? But if this is where the consumers are buying, how do we fit those two together? And Amazon are just as bad as eBay. They've millions and millions of customers. 54 million Amazon customers have signed up for Amazon Prime, which means they get free next day shopping delivery to their home or whichever address they choose. So buyers, they paid the £79 a year, and I'm one of those. I've paid my £79 a year for my Amazon Prime. So there's that temptation. When I want to buy something, I can have it delivered free tomorrow, so surely I'm going to go to Amazon. And then Amazon are doing loads of interesting things. One of my favourite programmes was always Top Gear. Still watch it on Dave the Repeats. Didn't like Chris Evans, but Chris Evans has gone. But Clarkson, Hammond and May have been signed up by Amazon, supposedly 160 million quid, to do a new car show, which we now know is going to be called the Grand Tour. And this is just part of what Amazon are doing. They signed me up for Amazon Prime because of my delivery. Free delivery for a year, £79. Sounds like a good deal. If you're paying a £5 delivery, you can do the maths. You haven't got to have that many parcels delivered before it makes sense. But then they're also giving me my video, my Amazon Prime. So maybe now I don't need Netflix, or I don't have to sign up for Sky Movies. I can watch movies on Amazon. And they've also got music, so maybe I don't need to pay for Spotify anymore because I've paid my Amazon Prime, so I can use Amazon Music. And books. I don't know if you know, but if you signed up for Amazon Prime at 79 quid a year and you buy something you're not actually in a hurry for and don't need tomorrow, you can actually opt for what Amazon call a no-rush delivery, where they'll take their time to deliver. And in exchange, they'll give you some credits so you can download a free ebook on the Kindle. And you don't have to have a Kindle device, because you can get Kindle for the Android, or Kindle for the iPhone or your iPad. So you can get some free books off Amazon. And you can put your photos there. You can even share your Amazon Prime with your family members. And now they're going into food with Amazon Pantry, and they've introduced Amazon Fresh, which you can buy Morrison's products on Amazon, so you can get your food deliveries from Amazon as well. So they're trying to tie the consumer into this constant cycle of using Amazon to buy everything. And one of the things they're looking at now is what's going to come next. And it's quite revealing. There's a device that Amazon have got out called Amazon Echo, which is where all of these things they've been doing over the years is starting to tie together. And I'd just like to show a small film to introduce it.
What is it?
You'll see.
Is it for me?
It's for everyone. It's called Amazon Echo.
How's it going?
I'm just finishing up right now.
Is it on?
Oh, it's always on.
Can it hear me right now?
Nope. It only hears you when you use the wake word we chose. Alexa.
Well, what does it do?
Alexa, what do you do?
I can play music, answer questions, get the news and weather, create to-do lists, and much more.
Awesome. Alexa, play rock music.
Rock music.
Alexa, stop.
Wait, I want to try. Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 3:27.
You actually don't have to yell at it, okay? It uses far-field technology, so it can hear you from anywhere in the room.
So it can just hear you anywhere?
Yes. Well, everyone can hear you anyway.
Oh, is that where we're going to put it?
I was thinking of putting it there, but it works anywhere.
Echo is pretty neat because it knows all sorts of things.
It's on
All you have to do is ask.
Alexa, how tall is Mount Everest?
Mount Everest's height is 29,029 feet, 8,848 meters.
How can it know so much? It's so small.
It updates using the cloud. That's also how it gets its answers.
Just read that off the box, huh?
Dad really likes that Echo just plugs in, so we never have to charge it. Plus, Echo's really good at keeping track of things like shopping and to-do lists.
Paper. Alexa, add wrapping paper to the shopping list.
I've put wrapping paper on your shopping list.
Alexa, how many teaspoons are in a tablespoon?
1 tablespoon equals 3 teaspoons.
Okay. Alexa, set a timer for 8 minutes.
8 minutes starting now.
Dad's not a morning person, but Echo definitely helps him wake up.
Alexa, alarm off.
You gotta get up.
It's Saturday.
Alexa, what day is it?
Today is Thursday, November 13th.
I'm up. Alexa, give me my flash news briefing.
Here's your flash briefing.
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Lakshmi Singh.
Mom, what did the dog say after a long day of work?
What?
Today was rough. Did you get it? Get it?
Yeah, I get
it. Another one.
Alexa, tell me another joke.
I wondered why the baseball was getting bigger, and then it hit me.
Sometimes Echo helps out when you least expect it.
Hey, Dad, how do you spell cantaloupe?
Cantaloupe. C-A-N-T... Alexa, how do you spell cantaloupe?
Cantaloupe is spelled C-A-N-T-A-L-O-U-P-E.
Good job.
Echo loves to play music and knows a lot of songs, and they always sound great.
Alexa, play my dance mix.
The playlist dance.
Alexa, stop. Alexa, define annoying.
The term annoying means 1, causing irritation or annoyance.
Example, my brother.
And with the companion app, you can access Echo from anywhere. With everything Echo can do, it's really become part of the family.
To experience Echo, go to amazon.com/echo.
So with Echo, we're starting to see why Amazon has invested so heavily in things like videos and music and all sorts of things which aren't really traditionally shopping. But they want their Echo device to become the hub in the family where no matter what you're doing, whether you want to set a diary reminder, whether you want to find out what the weather is today, whether you want to add something to your shopping list, something as mundane as, oh my God, we've run out of toilet roll, Alexa, buy me more toilet roll, and Amazon Prime will deliver it tomorrow. Or you've suddenly got people coming to dinner and you've got Amazon Freshes in your area, and you say, Alexa, I've got extra people for dinner, I need 8 steaks and some peas and some beans, get them delivered within the hour for me, and your Amazon Fresh order arrives. And Amazon aren't the only people. We've already got wearable devices. We've got things like the Apple Watch, and we've got various watches for Android, which you can actually interact with already. There's other wearable devices for other things, such as the fitness bands, which will monitor your heart rate, your breathing, your sleeping, and everything else. And sooner or later, we're going to be living in a world of screenless devices where people are so used to just giving out a command and things happen, whether it be information arrives or music is played or deliveries occur. And this is what marketplaces are going to be really good at doing. And it's not just Amazon. Google have announced a product called Google Home, which is a similar product. If you've got an Android phone, you're probably already used to saying, OK Google, and your Android phone wakes up and is ready to take a note. OK Google, send a text message. OK Google, I need directions to Harrogate, please. OK Google, soon it will be, I want to buy a new iPhone, or I want the latest, I need a steak for dinner tonight. And Google will be able to do all this as well. And Microsoft are getting in on the act. We don't know what Microsoft's device will look like. We think it's going to be called Microsoft Concierge. But if you've ever had a Windows phone, or if you've got a Windows 10 laptop or computer, you'll have already seen Cortana, which is also sitting there waiting for you to speak and give it directions. So in the future, interactions with computers are going to be much more conversational and basically part of our everyday life. So we know what a few people are doing. We know what Apple have done with the iPhones and tablets. They are not a great innovator. What Apple are good at is waiting for everyone else to invent stuff, and then they make a much nicer, better designed, slicker, fancier one, which is what they did with the iPod. They didn't invent music players. It's what they did with the iPhone. They didn't invent smartphones. It's what they did with the tablet. They didn't invent tablets. What they did is when they bought one out, it was a really good one. So I'd expect Apple to bring one out. Google and Microsoft, we know. eBay don't make devices. They don't make smartphones, they don't make tablets, don't make laptops, don't make computers. They're unlikely to make a sort of concierge butler device. But what we have seen with eBay is they are fantastic at making products to work on other people's devices. Like, they've got the #1 mobile app in the world. So if they've got the #1 mobile app, you'd expect sooner or later eBay to be making an app that will work with the Google device or the Microsoft device. Or maybe it'll be someone like Sony with the Sony PlayStation. They've already got the box sitting there. Computer games consoles are starting to interact with voice commands, with gestures. How long before they build in more capability for shopping? And that's really what the future's looking like. And that's why engaging with marketplaces is becoming very important. If you think of a retailer, like I mentioned Hoopers here in Harrogate, Hoopers are a great company. They've got a great retail shop, very expensive retail premises, I suspect. And yet you've got the competition from the marketplaces. And I know that many manufacturers and wholesalers will worry about things. Well, if it's on marketplaces, will everyone trash the price? And what about protecting my retailers' margins in the high street? Who's going to shop on the high street when you can buy it for half the price on Amazon or on eBay? What about exclusivity? Will the perceived value of my product go down because it's available on a marketplace? Are these marketplaces really the enemy? Do we even want anything to do with them? Maybe we should be banning our retailers from selling on marketplaces, and certainly we don't want any retailers that are marketplace-only sellers that haven't got retail premises, because surely that's the worst that can happen. And these are the type of questions that people are starting to ask. But the marketplaces are doing so much that how are Hoopers, and I'm only using one example, obviously there's loads of other retail businesses, but how are Hoopers ever going to get their own device, like Amazon Echo or Google's device or an eBay app on a device, how are they going to get their own app on a device where it's always listening ready for people to buy from Hoopers? And the answer is they can't. They're going to have to engage with these marketplaces sometime or somehow to get their products out there. And as a manufacturer or a wholesaler, you've got another number of options. You could decide, we'll sell direct on the marketplaces ourselves. And you'll probably upset all of your traditional retailer customers because you're competing with me. You're selling on marketplaces, you're taking my business. People like Chris can now go and buy from you on eBay, or they can order on Amazon with their Amazon Prime account, and you're getting the business, and now they're not coming into my retail shop. So it's not a great solution, but what it does do is it means that people on the marketplaces can access the products that you supply, and you can then control things like the pricing and the brand reputation. You can control how the products are displayed, what information is there about the products, and make sure at least they're presented in the best possible light. Something else you can do is you could also have nominated resellers. So you could say, we've got hundreds of retailers, but you know what? Hoopers in Harrogate, they've been around since 1982. They're a great retailer. We trust them with our brand to sell our products online. So we'll nominate them as one of our retailers that is allowed to sell online. And again, you've just lightly upset all of your other retailers that you're not allowed to sell on the marketplaces. Because again, why are you allowing Hoopers and not us? You're stealing our business. Only Hoopers can sell online. And whether it be eBay or Amazon or another marketplace, it's a difficult situation. And we recognise that. And it's how are we going to engage with the marketplaces but protect our retailers? And don't forget that when you're saying to retailers, we don't want you selling on these marketplaces, you're probably doing it for the best of reasons, that you want to maintain their margins so they can carry on selling your products and be successful and profitable. There are some interesting models out there that manufacturers and retailers can use. And one that I've seen before, which is really interesting, is for you as the manufacturer or the wholesaler to say, right, we're going to sell online, but I live in Thatcham, and if I buy something online from your Amazon shop, because I live in Thatcham in Berkshire, what you'll do is you'll look for a local retailer in Thatcham or Berkshire or Newbury, the nearest one to where I live, and attribute the sale to them. And that starts to become interesting because then suddenly, instead of competing with your retailers, you're now starting to support your retailers. Other things you can do is you could say, we'll put our inventory onto the marketplaces, but not all of it, because then you'll have certain items which are only available in store. So it might be a collection of items, and I was looking at some of the things around the show, and there's one collection of animals, cuddly toy animals, and I asked them, and they said their most popular one is the elephant. Everyone wants the elephant. The others, they'll collect them, but everyone wants the elephant. So why not put all of your products online, apart from the elephant, which just accidentally on purpose always happens to be out of stock on Amazon and eBay? It can still be displayed there. It'll just be greyed out because it's out of stock. And that means if I want the elephant, I'm going to have to visit one of your retailer stores to get that one product, the most popular product that everyone wants. But equally, you probably find that all of your retailers want to stock the elephant, but not all of them want to stock the snow leopard or the really obscure animals that occasionally someone will want, but isn't the fastest selling lines. So you can support your retailers by putting the less popular items available online and forcing people to go to a store for the most popular. And you can also do things like local collection. Drive traffic into your retailer stores by allowing them to buy online, whether it be on the marketplace or through your own website, but then drive the traffic into your retailer stores with collection. And again, it's just thinking of ways that you can embrace marketplaces and the internet, but carry on supporting your retailers. And I know it's not easy. I know there are lots of questions to be answered about, should we nominate retailers to sell online? Should we let all of them sell online? How do we protect the price? How do we protect the brand experience? If we sell online and attribute sales to them, how's that going to work? Who's going to do the accounting? Do we actually make the retailer buy it and ship it out of their own stock? Or do we ship it and just attribute to some margin to the retailer so that they can have a discount off the next order? How's it all going to work? It's not an easy solution. But the one thing that we do know is that these marketplaces are big enough that they're literally taking over the retail world. They're changing hundreds of years of retail on its head, and just in the last 20, 30 years, they've changed it beyond all recognition, and it's not going to go back. So we need some way of supporting our retailers, but working with marketplaces. And whether you take the decision, actually, we'll just cut the marketplaces off and pretend they don't exist, or whether you decide, how can we embrace the marketplaces and basically make them our friend, make them work for us and our retailers, that's the real question. So I'm more than happy to take any questions, or I can hang around afterwards if you want to talk in person. But if you'd like more information, I'm one of the founders and editors of Tamebay, which is a blog all about marketplaces. So we write about eBay and Amazon in the UK, but there are loads of other marketplaces like Not on the High Street and Etsy and Yumbles, which is a food marketplace. And then going overseas, you'll find that if your retailers start to sell into, say, France, there's about 6 marketplaces they should look at. eBay and Amazon aren't the biggest marketplaces in France. So we'll write about people like Finac and Cdiscount and La Redoute and a whole load of French marketplaces. Poland, Allegro is a massive marketplace. So it's not just all about eBay and Amazon. But the truth is that eBay and Amazon are the 2 biggest in the world, in the Western world. If you go over to the Far East, you'll be looking at marketplaces like Alibaba and Alibaba's Tmall or JD Global. And these are the only kind of companies in the world, apart from the likes of maybe Google and Microsoft and Apple, that are big enough to change how people shop and change how consumers want to interact with the internet. And we know it's happening. We've seen the change already with smartphones and the shift to mobile buying. We know that the next big change is going to be to screenless devices and how people are going to be interacting with screenless devices. And we know that people like Betty's selling their tea in Harrogate aren't big enough to have their own app. And the oldest sweet shop in the world, just a couple of miles away, or Hooper's, they're not big enough to be able to change at the speed of the marketplaces. So embracing the marketplaces makes sense. We know there's challenges. The question is now, how will you interact with the marketplaces? So thank you for your time, and I hope that's given you some ideas and food for thought. Thank you.